Welcome to MLS Online Virtual Classroom. In today's lecture of Unit 1, Fun at School. First of all, we will learn some new vocabulary words. Then, we will learn their meanings, and then you will use those words in your creative sentences. And at the end, we will learn about word endings. So, let's get started. First of all, let us learn some new vocabulary words. Repeat these words after me. The first word is science lab, insects, basement, unlocked, huge, chemicals, equipment, magnifying glass, benches, careful. Very good. Now, let's come to their meanings. Science lab is a room where experiments are done. Insects are very small animals with 6 legs and wings. Basement is the floor below the ground level. Unlocked means to open a lock using a key. Huge means very large. Chemicals are substances made by a chemical process. Equipment are things or items used for a particular purpose. Magnifying glass is a piece of glass that makes objects look larger than they are. Benches are long seats for several people. Careful means to give attention to what you are doing. Now, learn these words and their meanings by heart, and then write these words in your creative sentences. Write them on a loose sheet. Now, let us come to our today's topic, the science lesson. So, open number page and let us read this together and see what this topic is about. So, carefully listen to what is in this unit and then try to read it yourself. The science lesson. We are all very excited today. Our teacher is taking us to the science lab. We are studying insects in our science book. Miss Nimra, our science teacher, said she would show us some insects in the lab. We lined up and waited quietly. Then we followed the teacher through the school. The science lab was in the basement. When we finally got to the lab, Miss Nimra unlocked the door and we went in. The lab was huge. There were rows of benches and stools. There were many shelves with chemicals. Some had science equipment, some had glass jars, and some had books. There were sinks on one side of the lab as well. Our teacher went to the front of the class. The teacher reminded us that our lesson was about insects. She then told us to come up to the front in groups to collect the insects. I went up to her desk with my friend. She gave us some small glass dishes with insects inside them. She then handed me a magnifying glass. All of a sudden, it fell out of my hand. Thankfully, it did not break. The teacher looked over and told me to be careful. We all looked at the insects under the magnifying glass. It was so exciting. We could see their tiny legs and eyes very clearly. We learned many things about insects and wrote them in our notebooks. Soon, our lesson was over. We lined up again and walked back to the class. I couldn't wait for my next lesson in the science lab. I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, now let us come to the learning key at the bottom of page number 10. In the text, there were highlighted words in which ed, ing, and ly were added to make new words. You can see these words in blue color. These are word endings. For example, there was a word excite and ed was added to it. And take had ing added to it. And quiet had ly added to it, which made them excited, taking, and quietly. Now, let's do an activity. What you have to do is make a list of all the things you have seen in pictures on pages 8 to 10.